Bob, are you ready to send a picture?
Oh, sure. This is PD 120, N6 PGQ.
N6 PGQ, Bob. I have excellent copy. Well, this looks like a MCOM station of some sort. I look forward to hearing more about it. Prep for field day, perhaps. The only thing I have is at the bottom eighth of the screen. I have a horizontal line going through, which must be some other transmission from somewhere. I don't quite know what that is. But great photo, excellent quality. Carol, are you ready to comment? KP4MD?
Yeah, sure. This is KP4MD. Excellent picture here as well. And let's take a close look there. We've got two radios on the top there, and just below them there's a panel with all kinds of connectors. It looks like data, CAT connectors, PC. I wonder if those are mini DIN connectors. And then some. There's a power pole. There's a looks like an AC power socket over in the left. A toggle switch next to that, and some SO239 coaxial connectors. And looks like I don't know if that's a speaker grill or if that's a fan grill over on the right side of that panel. Number of other small, I don't know what they're, 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch jacks there on the top there. They're labeled data, CAT, phones, accessory, something else behind the coiled cord. And over on the right top it says PC, and there's another switch there which I can't make out the label. AC fuse, DC fuse, oh those are fuse holders. Okay, then AC in, power cell switch I think. It's something else, yeah, DC in, okay. Very interesting, and coiled cords there. Looks like a yellow extension cord wound up, stashed in the bottom there on that bottom level. And then on top I see some bungee cords. So yeah, that. Let me drop it a moment here. The horizontal line, I see the same horizontal line. It's like about 1/4 way up from the bottom. When that happened, there was another transmission that came on top of frequency with a, it sounded like a Windows system sound, something like a notification tone. That's somebody had a transmitter that was keyed by their Windows system. So back to you, James, KP4MD.
Thanks, Carol, KP4MD. This is KN6 AI6DG. Are you in a position to comment yet?
No, but I listened very intently and tried to guess what the image could be. Of course, I couldn't tell too much. Nothing distinctive in the audio on that. But yeah, it was some sort of Windows system OS kind of ball or chime. Whether it was where it came from, I don't know. But that's where the line came from. Almost home. I'll be back. I'll be online in less than 5 minutes. Back to net AI6DG.
Copy AI6DG. Hey Bob, N6DGQ. Well, it looks like you have a Yaesu HF rig and a Kenwood VHF rig, but can you tell us about that?
Okay, sure. Well, for the last couple of days, I've been trying to make my radio connect with WinLink. And so this is my Go box that I'm going to be bringing to field day. And was sitting out on the front porch with an antenna out in the front lawn, trying to make the thing work. And Carol tried all sorts of things, and I tried all sorts of things. And finally, at the very end of almost ready to throw things, away, I discovered that after a few bits of testing, that my SignaLink modem is no good. So that's what you get when you have a $25 SignaLink at a ham swap. We'll let it break here. So fortunately, I had another $25 SignaLink. So I took the header pins out of one and put it in the other and plugged it in, and miraculously the thing worked. Isn't it amazing when the computer systems all work? Anyway, what you see is the inside of my Go box, and I tend to forget that it's net night and just take a picture of what's around lately. So on the left is a Yaesu FT100. It's a all-band, all-mode radio. Does 160 through 440, and it's been a good radio. I've been trying to keep it working because you can't get finals for them anymore. The radio on the right is a Kenwood TM-D710 for FM, and so that's what I'm going to bring to field day. The switches and plugs Carol identified really well. The far one on the left is the one for data, and that's where I plug in the SignaLink, and the next one over is for the external tuner that I have. So, and the grill on the right is a fan exit. So, and there's one up at the top. Anyway, there it is, N6PGQ.
I look forward to seeing that, Bob. That's really interesting. I also am going to need Carol's help eventually to get WinLink running on my 991, which has been a challenge. I hope you're okay with that. Could you sometime, Carol? Carol, KP4MD, are you ready to send a picture?
Yep, absolutely. It's going to be PD120.
KB4MG, excellent copy of a Happy Juneteenth poster that looks like Sesame Street. I'm curious to find out where you found that. Joel, are you able to comment yet, AI6DG? He must be on the move. Bob, N6PGQ.
Yeah, it looks like a, oh boy, I'm not great at describing things. It looks like a bunch of characters in the foreground, maybe Kermit on the right side, I can't tell, looking up at perhaps a large-size video display, probably outdoors, wishing everyone happy Juneteenth. Quality's good, some pixel pops in the black, but came through real well. N6PGQ.
Carol, KP4MG, you want to, I guess, tell us where you found this? Oh, it looks like I can see Disney in the lower left. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, this is KP4MD. Yeah, this is, here you see it says Disney Junior in the lower left. And actually, that is Kermit on the right side, and to the left of him is Miss Piggy. Of course, you've seen the backs of their heads, so kind of really hard to identify them. But these are Muppet characters, and they're not from Sesame Street. There was another program that featured the Muppets, and it was, I believe it was on prime time on, I'm not sure what network, but it was called The Muppet Show. And there were some characters on there that, like Miss Piggy, never appeared on Sesame Street, was always on The Muppet Show. Always also appeared in the Muppet movies. And that character up there is, you would only know that character if you ever watched The Muppet Show. That is Dr. Teeth. And he's got a rock band. So that's what it's all about. Happy Juneteenth. And his name is Dr. Teeth. Over.
Copy that. I did not know that character. Joel, are you back, AI6DG, able to comment? Bob, any questions for Carol?
I'm just wondering where she found it.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. I found it on, I believe I found it somewhere on the internet. And Dr. Teeth, the name of his band was the Electric Mayhem. And there was one particular character in his band that really got a lot of attention. It was the drummer, and his name was Animal. And he was absolutely bonkers. Went absolutely bonkers with the drums.
Yeah, one of the insurance companies is using Animal in one of their commercials. He's upstairs banging on his drum.
Oh, Bob, I think I stepped on you. Can you repeat?
I was going to say, yeah, that one of the insurance companies is using Animal as one of their characters, you know, where the house has problems, and they said they have an animal in the attic, and it turns out to be him beating on drums. It's kind of cute.
I'll have to keep an eye out for that. I have a picture to transmit that I tried to send last week. It should work this week. Can I do a quick tone check?
Yes, you have. Yep, I heard the tone.
Carol, you said yes on tone, affirmative. Copy. Okay, this is PD 120. Stand by. Okay, Carol, I'll go in reverse order. I'm sure you'll know what this is, but I'll let you comment. KP4MD, go ahead. This is KN6QNJ. Nothing heard. KP4MD, are you there? Bob, N6PGQ, before I ask you to comment, I want to say good evening to KN6PRD, who's in San Francisco celebrating his wife's birthday. Good evening, Alan. Bob, KN6PGQ, go ahead.
Okay, well, it's either a balun for an end-fed antenna, looks a little bit big for that, or it's a filter of some kind, got a big toroid and quite a few turns around it. You can see there's a back end of a SO239 at the top, along with some other lugs that some of the wires are hooked to. I don't know. We'll have to hear what it is, but it's in a nice plastic enclosure, and the quality of the transmission was great. Very few pixel pops. N6PGQ.
Thank you, Bob. Joel, were you able to copy AI6DG?
I just got things working. I just caught the bottom third of it or so, but I see that we're, like it's already been said, a matching or balun or a transformer of some kind. I only see the bottom of it, so I just see the bottom third of the toroid, nice winding to a terminal, a screw block. I don't know what's on the top of it, but it could be end-fed, it could be 4-to-1 or 9-to-1 or something balun. I don't see enough and know enough. But yeah, it does seem like a really clear transmission. Back to net, AI6DG.
Thank you, Joel. Carol, KP4MD, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here. Good picture. SO239 at the top. And looks like there's another terminal at the top to the left of that, which may be, it looks like a ground connection. And you've got a toroid. I'm going to count the turns. Looks like you have 2 turns on the primary, and on the secondary, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 2 to 14. That would give you a transformation ratio of 49:1. I think this is probably a transformer for an end-fed wire. This is what I'm guessing. And the high impedance terminal is down on the bottom on the right side. That's going to a screw, probably coming on the other side of that box there. Terminal to feed the end-fed wire. This is my guess. So back to nets, KP4M, Mike Delta.
Well, you're all basically right. When I upgraded to extra last month, I thought I'd better build something so I could call myself a real ham. And so this is the ARRL end-fed antenna kit that they've been selling. And so I bought it and built it. And this is really the first thing I've done like this in years. I even bought a new soldering iron. And it is 49:1 transformer, and the darn thing works. So I thought I'd share that with all of you, KN6QNJ. Any comments or questions before we move to Joel? Okay, AI6DG. Joel, are you set up to send a picture?
Trying to load a picture right now.
Okay, well we can, we'll give you a minute, and I'll talk about my experimentation with soldering. I have so much to learn, but I did pull it off. Carol, the other night, last night, when I hosted the Wednesday Night Net, you said you solder your power pole connectors. Can you briefly describe how you do that? Do you tin both sides first, or how do you solder your power pole connectors while we're waiting for Joel?
Here I am. Okay, here I am. Yeah, I have to tin. First thing I do is I tin the wire that's going to go into the power pole connector. Then you solder you have to really carefully solder the metal connector onto the end of the wire, you generally don't have to tin the power pole connector itself, because it's like silver coated, silver plated. So you just carefully heat it with the tip of a fine point soldering iron, and then flow enough solder into the inside of the connector, and that works fine. You certainly don't want to get any solder to go over onto the contact part of that power pole. That'll mess it up. But yeah, I trim the length of the strip piece of wire just so it fits inside the open end of that power pole connector, and it's worked very well for me. I usually use a helping hand to hold the wire in the inside the connector lined up right. So those are the alligator clip things that hold things in position. That way I use my two hands, one holding the solder and one holding the soldering iron. Over.
Copy. Just one last question, and then Joel will ask you to transmit. Do you feed the solder from the end where the wire's entering, or the other end?
Well, that could be a little tricky. I've learned that if you feed it into that little crack on the contact end, it'll actually flow into where the wire is. So there's a little crack there, and I just feed it very gently and carefully in there, making sure not to put an excess amount in there. And it makes a good solid connection. And the good thing about that is if you ever want to remove it again, you can reuse those power poles. You can desolder them and use them over again, because once you crimp them, it's kind of hard to uncrimp them. Over.
That's a really good point. Thanks, Carol. I may try that. AS6DG. Joel, are you ready to go?
Well, that last bit that Carol said answers my question, which is going to be, so you don't even crimp it at all? Because I crimp in solder, and yes, you got to be careful the amount of solder, because not only do you not want it on the contact, you don't even want it approaching the contact, because you can run into problems where you've got solder or bend or something, the connector bent in some way that it won't even properly insert all the way into the plug.
Right. Joel, you crimp first and then you drop solder. Where do you put the solder? From the wire entry side or the contact side?
I think I would probably a little bit of both, but very little solder, because once it's crimped, there's not much gap. So you're just making a little better electrical connection and filling some of the holes and hoping that. And I also don't tin the wire first. So we're talking about two entirely different techniques, and I'm sure there's pros and cons on both. I just take the bare wires, and then I crimp it, and then just enough solder to wet and tin the wire that might be in there, and to make a good solid electrical connection. So obviously I can't reuse it.
No, you give up that option. That's right. Are you ready to transmit, Joel?
Well, Was there
A tone. Yes, affirmative.
PD 120?
Well, that looks like fun. I got excellent copy of somebody set up in the Caribbean. I look forward to hearing more about that. And that looks like quite a setup. Bob, N6PGQ, are you ready to comment?
Yeah, that looks like quite a setup. We've got gear on a park bench under the shade of some trees. It doesn't look like it's the ocean because there's mountains and looks like a beach on the other side. It could be a bay, of course. Antenna, possibly a couple of elements off of a buddy pole, or it could be some ham sticks on a dipole setup. Really nice. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. N6PGQ, KN6QNJ. James here. Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, this is KP4MD. I'm not quite sure who that is, but whoever it is, they're wearing dark glasses. That might be Doug Emerson. N6NA FM kind of looks a little bit like him. And sitting at a table, looks like some kind of a park picnic table. A little faded, and a mast that's holding up something that looks like a buddy pole. Or a hamstick dipole, and I'm going to guess that this is not the Caribbean because the grass looks really kind of dry. It almost looks like we're back here in the Sacramento Valley. I'm going to guess that this is somewhere on the edge of maybe Folsom Lake or something. So that's my guess. I don't see any coconut palms either, which I would see in the Caribbean. So back to net controls, KP4MD.
Those are all good points, Carol. I feel that you're probably more right than I am, particularly because it's so dry. It does look like Folsom Lake. Well, Joel, AI6DG, can you tell us about the picture?
I was scrambling to find a picture, so I just picked one that was already in the gallery in SSTV. So I've probably sent this at least once over the years already. This is the first field day, or revival of field day that North Hills went on, and yes, that's Doug. And this was up at Folsom Point, up at Folsom Lake. It used to be Dike 8, Dike 9, Dike, I don't know. It's just outside of Folsom. It got a boat ramp, nice picnic area. This was in the picnic area. And off in the distance, maybe 30 or 40 feet downslope from here, there's a little red spot, and that's the generator that we were running off at the time. It's very much like a buddy pole, but the N6NA dipole system. Unfortunately, I don't think that company's around anymore, but it's a neat little system where you got little 18-inch pieces of pole that are threaded that you put together in different ways for different bands. And you can do it in vertical mode or dipole mode if you do two of them. And this was in dipole mode, probably 20 meters. Back then I had a Flex 3000, not the 6500 I have now, but it worked well, and I think Doug had a good time. It was not big turnout. I think there was only the two of us and then one or two other people that dropped in. It was a beautiful spot, and worked out well. I think the RF literally just bounced off the lake because we were getting back east pretty well with that little antenna. And you might notice the little spray bottle sitting on the table off to the right. That was a little spray bottle of water to spray on us to keep us cool, trying to. But I was worried that us operating was going to be a noise problem for other picnickers in the area. There weren't any other picnickers in the area, actually. And the biggest problem was personal watercraft out on the lake that were buzzing around making a terrible racket. Back to net, AI6DG.
That's a really good picture and a good story. Any other questions or comments for Joel? All right, hearing none, I think we're ready to close the net. One last chance to make any comments or ask any questions of each other. All right, well, thanks to all who participated in tonight's Slow Scan TV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. The net is officially closed at 9:41. This is James, Kilo November 6, Quebec, November, Juliet, wishing all of you a good evening. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Carol. K&6 Q&J.